I think I know what paradigm means, but can you just explain it?
Well, paradigm is actually a modern concept. To understand the concept of paradigm is, and the origin of paradigm is to go to the mid-1960s, and in physics, paradigm was defined as the concept of where truth was seen within the scientific community in the concept of physics in experiments of where it is that we stand and how we see the truth. As we do experiments, and this was speaking in physics, as we do experiments, the barriers start expanding. What we thought was truth and that fenced us in give way, and new fences take place, new understandings, and those new understandings create a new paradigm. It's a paradigm shift. It's a new way of looking at it. Now, the application of the concept of paradigm can be seen down throughout history, and the greatest understanding would be the Ptolemaic concept of worldview, giving that the Earth is flat and that the sun moves across the sky every day, and we have three-tiered universe. That the science of Copernicus and discoveries of Galileo. And the Copernican revolution that basically said that's not the way it is, that the sun is stationary and that the earth is a sphere that revolves and rotates and revolves around the sun, and is part of a solar system and is part of a universe. It's a whole worldview change. Well, to go from a flat earth to a round earth is a major paradigm shift. It's a major way of changing how we define truth itself and what our barriers are. So paradigm shift is major change of viewpoint, of the very concept of truth that you use as the barrier and boundary for how you view things in life.
Mr. Colgan, what would a person have to do to become in favor with God according to your message and your ministry?
Become aware of it is the main thing. That's the great concept that Jesus, when Jesus went out to, and even in the play, went out to those who were in the worst case scenarios of life. The very ill. His opening day ministry, his very first sermon. He goes. We find it at the start of the Act 2, and he's speaking to the blind man and the crippled man and the old potter who has a skin disease, and they're all begging out at the city gates, and they're all very bitter, and they're living the very worst life that you could imagine. It's absolutely incredible, and when Jesus goes to them. You can't get farther down in society. And yet the basic message they took to them was that God's love was available to them. God, the presence of God, relationship with God was accessible for them. Something that was so totally foreign to their thought pattern, something they just, it didn't fit in. And yet he helped them to open their eyes, to open the blindness that couldn't see that truth, to be open to see his new truth, the new paradigm that he was putting forth. That they were not outside of God's favor, that God's love was being extended to them, and that they could receive it without brokerage, without going to the temple, without going through sacrifice at the temple, without doing the things that society was said they had to do. That in essence, that God was available to them if they would respond to the sacred, if they would simply open their eyes and their minds and their hearts and their spirits, and let the Spirit of God, the presence of God, and the love of God come into their life in such a way and allow transformation to occur. Transformation because of the presence of the sacred. They heard him and they said, could that possibly be true? And they began to experience the Jesus experience that sense of opening up and seeing if that could happen. And in fact, it did in their lives. And those who thought that God had caused their pain, their illness, their disease, their blindness, their crippledness. That God was punishing them, and if God's punishing you and causing this, you're never getting out from underneath that thumb. But in fact, when they saw it differently, their whole lives changed. It's not what we do. It's something it's a truth that's available for every one of us. Part of the spiritual journey is to go from where we are now to a point of awareness, not only that the sacred exists, and most of us can do that, but to an awareness that the sacred is love and truth that reaches out to us. And if we respond, the spiritual journey that can take place is absolutely amazing and transformative.
Mr. Colgan, I know your play, The Galilean, has been published in book form. Are you planning to produce the play?
Hope to have actually the world premiere within this next year, hopefully within about 6 months.
I see.
When the play is done for the first time and it begins to get out, and we will do a lot of videotaping, and we will do excerpts, and we'll get people to see glimpses of the play. Hopefully they can begin to really see what is there and what the play has to offer.